Welcome to Chik, the podcast where the girl with many titles talks about life, the good and the bad, and everything around it. We're going to sit, chat, share life stories and experiences, from business to relationship. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Chik podcast. Happy 2023. This is the first time that I am coming and speaking to you guys. Happy New Year. What an end to last year it's been. So I'm just going to jump straight in. I'm going to start with my tip of the week or struggle of the week. I'm going to give you both. So my struggle of the week has been just getting back to a proper routine in terms of work. And my tip has been to actually just learn that whenever I start to feel overwhelmed, that's the time to stop, take a break, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for a few hours, and then go back to it, because then I'm a lot more productive. So yeah. Right, straight into the podcast. For those of you that follow me online, you'll have seen that before Christmas I went viral as a soft life girl, as TikTok called me. And it was really funny because I wanted to talk about showing up in this podcast, because I think, especially as a content creator, as a business owner, there are times you've got to show up where you don't feel like showing up. There are times, for example, like I've been on this podcast before, I've talked about not being in a good mental space, and sitting in my onesie and talking to you guys, whether people could see me, whether people could hear. And I very much believe in vulnerability, but the podcast I did with Josh Keegan really got me thinking differently, because I felt like I was being very honest with myself that when it came to finances, I was just burying my head in the sand. So I really wanted to work out what I wanted 2023 to look like for me. And from that, and starting to look at maybe changing some of my financial goals and systems, I posted the TikTok because I actually started to realise that 2022, I'd started to have a bit more of the soft life, because when I'd stay with my brother, when I was with G, they cook for me, my dad cooks for me, I was doing things that just, like my solo dates, I was doing things for myself that helped me practice self-care. So it was half a joke that I was tired, but also half of it me meaning that I actually do want this soft life. So yeah, and it's funny because I posted something similar before. It was like a day before, where I was making a joke about how, because I'm so close to my brother, sometimes he's like my conscience. So there are times where I will go to him, and if I'm thinking of doing something, he gives me permission, and I know that, okay, I'm not doing something stupid, or yes, he can be a bit reckless this time. And that's the post that I originally put about calling my brother, and then I tried it again, and there we go. And it was really funny because that TikTok I was saying was my backup TikTok, and that was the one where I was trying different things, I was being vulnerable, I was showing up, not being fully dressed, just waking up in the morning, in a way that I feel like I can't really do on Instagram, because even on Instagram, it still has to be not curated per se, but I have people on there that there are topics I maybe cover on other platforms that they might not appreciate, but that was just a platform where I could talk about anything and everything, and there we were, it did really well. But like I was saying, it went from me having a general idea of what I was enjoying out of life in 2022 and all the big changes that I made, what I wasn't enjoying and how I wanted things to change. And then obviously Josh came along and I started looking at that in a financial way. And then I went viral, and thank God I did that, because I can't tell you, in the space of 2-3 weeks, my whole business changed. My work as a content creator and what I charged, what I charge has always been quite good anyway for someone that doesn't have a mass following. I don't even have 5,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok, but it changed even that level of what I was charging. It changed what I'm charging within the agency, because it's kind of given me that credibility even more. Because don't get me wrong, I can go out and I can say, yes, we are really good at creating content, I am the content person within my business, and my guys do all the other parts like the editing or thinking of trends, and we work as a team. But what is even funnier is that even with that level of content and what I was looking at putting out in terms of content, I forgot that my year off for the business, was to be known as the content queens. So I'd started, the goal for 2022 was for me and CF Marketing to be known as the people that are known for content. And the other part of it was for me to be the bougie auntie. So I wanted to show up for Eliza in her first year of life at least. I'll always be there for her, but I just wanted to dedicate that first year in knowing that I could live however I wanted to live, do things however I wanted to do things. And I'd even had a meeting before I talked to my guys about delusional manifesting and just manifesting as a whole. And I've really been trying to manifest. And the more that I've thought about that, the more I've thought about talks I've had with people in the past and mentors. And Garrett, who was actually on this podcast, told me ages ago, your mindset is what limits you, and you have so many limiting beliefs around finance. So trying to manifest and believe that I could make more money, I could do better, I could enjoy my work more, believing that I was going to be known as the content person, knowing that I wasn't going to accept clients unless they fitted our values and us as a team, because ultimately we are nomads. We work at random times, so you very much have to be flexible in terms of how we work. And yeah, it all just feels like, don't get me wrong, life is not breezy. I don't know if you guys have watched the Jonah Hill documentary. If you've not, definitely watch it. But the premise is, he has done this documentary with his therapist, and they talk through loads of bits in life, but there's a part of it that really stuck out, and he says that no matter what you do in life, and like looking at work, I took it for myself as looking at work, it's always going to be, I think it was something like painful, there's uncertainty and something else, like it's always hard work. And when I think about that and I think about the things that I want to do, I honestly get that, like, there are family, friends that don't get what I do and don't understand why I do what I do and don't completely understand social media, but to be able to build a following that helps you do the things that you're passionate about, so that even when life is really difficult, you've got a reason to wake up in the morning, you've got a reason to keep going, you've got something that is, you're not just obliged to do it, if that makes sense. You actually, even on the hardest days, you find a reason to want to do it. And again, this is a perfect example. I'm sat recording this, and I'd like to record podcasts a lot early in advance, but this is Wednesday night and the podcast is going out tomorrow. I didn't want to do it as late, but here we are. I knew that it was something that I've committed to, that I'm passionate about, that I want to do, but my mindset this week just hasn't been there. Like I said, loads of things have changed, but yeah, here I am still showing up. So anyway, we're about halfway through, and how am I doing? So I've already kind of touched on this. I think mentally I'm in a stage where half of life is like amazing career-wise. I can't complain at the moment. I've been trying to sell more, I've been showing up more, I'm trying to do more, and I'm seeing the benefits of that. But in other aspects of life, I am still really struggling, because I think, especially being still healing and being in that process where I'm realising that I'm not constantly in fight or flight, my body's still learning how to react, how it's supposed to be, because it just feels so awkward and weird, and I feel so detached sometimes from life, from people, from the world, and obviously, especially with the work that I do, sometimes I get so overwhelmed that I'm really bad at keeping in contact, so I feel guilty about that. But ultimately, I want to show up for, like, my friends and family when I feel okay, and that's when I get in contact. So on one hand I'm not doing great, but on the other hand I'm doing amazing, and I guess that is life. But anyway, carrying on. So yeah, in terms of showing up and manifestation, and actually going back to manifestation, it's really funny because when I was in school, me and one of my best friends, Fran, watched, it was a movie with Gerard Butler, and I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's the one where he plays the Irish guy, and spoiler alert, he dies and his wife ends up in Ireland doing like this road trip. And we said back then, we are gonna move to Ireland, we are gonna marry Irish men, and it's so funny because she's dating someone that's part Irish. Obviously I live in Northern Ireland and I'm with someone that's Irish, but even when you look at manifestation and mindset and believing that things are possible, I am so bad at visualizing sometimes, and I'm so bad at believing or maybe changing my mindset sometimes. And there's been this thing going around on TikTok called the lucky girl syndrome, where you are constantly saying to yourself, I'm so lucky, everything works out for me. And there are other things that you'll see, and I had other sayings that I was saying to myself this whole last year, like I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am in love, I am happy. That was kind of my motto for last year, and I've adapted that a little bit more this year to say I am healthy, I am financially wealthy, I am loved, I am in love, I am happy, because I'm learning that with manifestation, I want to be as, what's the word, succinct as possible. I want to be very specific in what I'm manifesting and what I want out of life, because I think life has a way of like throwing things at you and going, well, that's technically what you asked for, even though it's not what you thought it was. So yeah, I'm just believing more. And even when I think that things, that maybe my mindset isn't the right way, when I think about things in terms of being lucky and like the whole lucky girl syndrome, I've been thinking of finding solutions. So like, I'm not sleeping very well at the moment. Like last night, I think I was up from just past 2 a.m. till like 5. And I normally wake up like 3, 5 or 7 a.m. and it's like a mixture of those, and sometimes it's for a good few hours before I go back to sleep. But even when I'm laid there, rather than getting annoyed and getting myself in a state of frustration, I have started practicing gratitude, and I'll list things that I'm grateful for. I will, when I'm starting to get myself in that mindset of that little voice in my head, the negative voice in my head coming in and saying, oh, but you're not good enough, or something's not working out because of you, or just something negative, I find specific examples where that is incorrect, because ultimately in life I've tried so many things and failed at so many things, but it's led me to the next thing, and I wouldn't be doing what I was doing now if it wasn't for failure. So yeah, every time I find something negative, I will say to myself, I'm so lucky, everything works out for me, and then I think of like a specific example, and then I'm like, oh yeah, actually I am really lucky, everything does work out for me, which obviously that is me believing myself. And the more that I practice that, the more things seem to be just coming my way, opportunities coming my way, life just throwing things at me where it's like the world is your oyster. Like I was on a call this morning where I was saying, it's really funny because the scope of my business changed within such a short space of time, but it wasn't that specific video that changed things, because ultimately when potential clients look at my social media, look at the business's social media, they can see that we've been consistent, we've been posting, we work with different brands, we know what we're talking about. And when they see that, then when it's come to quoting work, that's not been an issue, or if there has been a slight issue, it's still more than it would have been before. And I can't believe that last year me wouldn't even be able to believe what is currently going on, because I think especially whilst the economy is really bad, and I can't lie, I've thought a few times like, should I go back into full-time work? And I don't want to do that, but it's the thing to do. And I do, like I sometimes apply for jobs, like I got headhunted, and there are things that have happened that have just made me even more set that whether things work out the way that I think that they're going to work out or not, ultimately everything's always going to work out, because one, I've got my own back and I work really hard and I've proven that I can do that. 2, I've got the right people in my life that are so supportive. And 3, you don't have to have it all figured out. I am building a business in a way that I have never seen a business run. Any business I've worked in has been very corporate. When they say that the family, it's been a bit toxic, but in my business, we are very open about mental health. We work whenever we want. We work the days that we want. We work the hours that we choose. We are nomads. We are women. We support each other. There's just a freedom to be who we are and be our authentic selves. And I think that's something that I've not given myself enough credit for. And I think even when it comes to other business owners showing up, or other people that are listening to this podcast, whether you're a business owner or whether it's just in your careers or in life, in relationships, whatever, I think there are ways that we can show up sometimes that it doesn't have to be a massive way. It can just be, do you know what, let me just take it an hour at a time, half a day at a time, a day at a time, a step at a time. And then as time goes on, you've got the consistency, you're seeing what works for you and what doesn't, and you're not feeling overwhelmed. So yeah, roll on 2023. It's going to be a very interesting year, and I can't wait to get back to traveling. I can't wait to get back to just, I think, doing the things that I maybe limited myself to last year, thinking that I wasn't able to achieve. That now I'm like, yeah, the world is my oyster. Not only am I going to live a soft life, I am going to do it around the world. So yeah, I am going to end this on my win of the week. So what's my win of the week been? Do you know what, actually? Like I was saying before, one of my wins of the week has just been the fact that this week I've noticed that as I've started to feel overwhelmed, I have gone downstairs and just sat and talked to G for a little bit, and I've maybe like gone and got some food and just chilled for a little while before going back to work, and that's then made me more productive. And yeah, there'd have been a time that I would have never been able to do that because I'd have just been feeling really guilty. But I trust that I always catch up with work. I always do what needs to be done, and yeah, I'm just really happy with where things are. So thank you for all your support in 2022, and for everyone that listens to this that's kind of been on my journey, because ultimately you guys helped me live my dream. And I could start crying. I am not going to do that, but I think it's so surreal that I'm going to be able to show my niece, my future kids if I have kids one day, and be able to say that, like, do you know what, even if things didn't work out, I went through it and I tried. So thank you for being a part of that journey, and please keep supporting, subscribing, liking, commenting, because it all means the absolute world. And I will see you guys next week.